The fire truck didn't even slow down. Sirens howling, lights flashing, it came around the corner like a bull on the attack, charging right toward Karen's shiny new luxury SUV parked arrogantly across the fire lane, blocking the way like it owned the street. Kids screamed, wine glasses shattered, and just before the axe came swinging through the windshield, Karen's voice pierced the air above the chaos. "You touch my car, and I'll sue every one of you," she yelled. The next second, glass exploded into the air, showering the crowd like fireworks. But somehow, that still wasn't the wildest thing that happened that day. Earlier that morning, everything had been unusually quiet, too quiet, in fact. And I should have known better. I was in my backyard trimming hedges, listening to a podcast about bridge collapses. Yes, I'm that guy. When I saw Karen pacing her lawn, clipboard in hand, barking orders into a walkie-talkie like she was running a military operation, I knew what that meant. Another one of her exclusive events. By exclusive, I mean obnoxiously loud, totally unpermitted, and almost certainly going to have a bouncy castle taller than most of the houses. I let out a long sigh and glanced at the freshly painted fire lane across from her driveway. No doubt it was about to get blocked. Karen, after all, has this magical ability to ignore every posted sign while she weaponizes the ones that serve her. She once fined a neighbor for leaving their trash can out an extra day during a snowstorm. So, when the valet service pulled up and started directing cars right into the fire lane like it was prime VIP parking, it came as no surprise. And of course, right there in the center, Karen's precious SUV was parked, gleaming like a mirror, right up to the hydrant. She even slapped a "reserved for host" sign on it with glitter tape, as if that would somehow make it okay. By 2 p.m., our once peaceful suburban street had turned into a carnival. A taco truck, a DJ blasting early 2000s club hits, and enough inflatable structures to be mistaken for a moon bounce compound. I watched a toddler wandering around, sipping from a margarita straw and wearing nothing but a diaper. Two older men were passed out under the snack table, and Karen, decked out in a poolside robe and oversized sun hat, was holding court by the pool, sipping rose like she was starring in Real Housewives, while all of it went on. Music blaring, people laughing, shouting toasts, and the increasingly smoky smell of something burning. At first, no one noticed. The breeze carried the smoke away, and the only thing people cared about was whether the taco truck had run out of carnitas. But not me. I had a front row seat for my back deck, and a nose that was way too sensitive to gas. I walked around to the side of the house and saw it. Thin smoke billowing from the neighbor's yard across the street. Flames were climbing up from behind their grill setup, and I could hear the pop of something under pressure. That wasn't just a barbecue accident. That was a fire waiting to explode. I rushed inside, dialed 911, and tried to get anyone at the party's attention. But the music was so loud, my voice barely registered. When I finally managed to grab Karen's attention, she rolled her eyes like I was interrupting her during a wedding proposal. "Leo, don't be dramatic. It's probably just a citronella candle." "That's not a candle, Karen. It's a full-blown fire," I shouted. "You need to move your car now." She took a sip of her rose, adjusted her sunglasses, and calmly replied, "My car's not going anywhere, honey. The valet's got the key. Besides, this is a no-fun zone emergency, not a real one." I was about to lose it. The fire truck sirens were getting closer, louder. I knew this neighborhood like the back of my hand. I'd even worked on the emergency routing plan when I was a city engineer. The fire lane wasn't just a suggestion. It was the only way the emergency vehicles could reach the upper cul-de-sac. Without it, the house across the street was toast, and I mean that literally. Just as I predicted, the truck turned the corner full speed and slammed the brakes when it saw the barricade of luxury SUVs blocking both lanes. One firefighter hopped down, marched over to Karen's place, and looked for the owner. "This is a fire lane," the firefighter called out. "We need immediate access." From the pool, Karen snapped back. "Tell your guys to go around. We're hosting a charity event for neighborhood unity." The firefighter didn't miss a beat. He turned, nodded to his partner, and within seconds, they grabbed their tools. I started filming, not to be petty, but because I knew the spectacle unfolding would either land in a lawsuit or become a local legend. Karen, now realizing what was happening, made a mad dash for her car. Well, more of a limp in her wedge heels as she flailed her arms like she was trying to flag down a jet. "Wait, wait, I found a valet key," she screamed, fumbling through her beach tote, knocking out tanning oil, sunglasses, and a half-eaten bag of kale chips. Too late. The first swing of the axe came down hard, splintering the rear window like it was a sledgehammer crashing into glass. The entire crowd gasped. Someone's pina colada splashed all over the grass. Karen froze in shock, her mouth hanging open in a perfect O. The hose came next, and they ran it right through the broken window and out the front windshield. Another firefighter swung again, carving a path with terrifying precision. The crowd backed away slowly, like they were watching a demolition derby in slow motion. And Karen, her scream rising in a primal shriek, stood frozen, unable to move. The fire crew didn't blink. They connected the hose and rushed uphill, getting the flames under control in minutes. But the real fire, the one Karen had ignited with her stubbornness, was just getting started. By the time the backyard fire was out, the crowd had gone from enjoying the party to watching it all unfold like a disaster movie. Karen stood motionless beside her ruined SUV, mascara streaked down her face, rose dripping from her robe like some tragic soap opera villain. The house across the street was badly scorched, but thanks to the detour through my yard, the firefighters had saved most of it. Still, those critical minutes had been lost. All because Karen couldn't walk an extra 30 feet from a legal parking spot. Once the fire was under control, the fire captain walked over to Karen, whose yelling had quieted down to muttered curses. "You obstructed an emergency response," the captain said calmly. "You're going to be cited. Your vehicle was blocking access to the hydrant. We had the authorization to breach it." Karen scoffed. "I'm friends with the mayor. I'll have your badge by Monday." The firefighter didn't flinch. "Great. Tell him we say hi and ask him if he remembers writing the fire code you just violated." For a moment, Karen froze. Her lips parted as if she had a comeback, but nothing came out. Instead, she flung her shattered side mirror onto the lawn and stormed off toward her house, muttering something about calling her lawyer and needing to dry her hair. As the crowd slowly began to disperse, a few neighbors shot me grateful glances, even murmuring quiet thanks under their breath. I wasn't looking for praise. I was just furious that someone's selfishness almost got people hurt. But what really stayed with me was how everyone had quietly tiptoed around Karen for years, as if her behavior was some sort of untouchable force of nature. She'd thrown pool parties during droughts, hosted illegal fireworks shows on her roof, and once installed solar panels on a community fence because, well, the sun doesn't care about property lines. Every time someone tried to challenge her, she threatened them with lawsuits and bylaws. Until now. Now, for the first time, someone had pushed back with real authority. Later that evening, I reviewed the footage from my Ring camera. I caught it all. The fire, the firefighter's arrival, Karen's tantrum, and the axe chopping her luxury SUV to pieces. I debated whether to post it online. Not for revenge, just so people could see how dangerous and entitled her behavior had been. But by the time I could even decide, the video was already circulating. Someone had uploaded it to Reddit under the title "Karen Blocks Fire Lane for Pool Party." Fire crew axes her SUV like it's a watermelon. Within hours, it had gone viral, amassing over 250,000 views. The next morning, as I stepped outside to grab my mail, I noticed the whispers and pointed fingers. Word had spread. People were looking at me differently, not sure if I was a hero or just a snitch. Karen, however, wasn't done. She tried damage control by posting a rant in the HOA Facebook group, claiming the fire had been exaggerated, that the firefighters had been too aggressive, and that her SUV had been destroyed without warning. The responses were mixed, but Old Man Jenkins' comment stood out. "Karen, they broke your window because you broke the law." That comment got 87 likes. Karen's post got 4. One of them was from her cousin. But Karen wasn't ready to give up just yet. She marched through the neighborhood with a clipboard, gathering signatures for a complaint about the misuse of emergency authority. She even knocked on my door, demanding I support her. When I pointed out that she was clearly parked illegally, she smiled and said, "The rules say no parking." I wasn't parked. I was hosting. I stared at her. "I don't think that's how fire safety works." She narrowed her eyes. "You think you're a hero because you tattled to the fire department?" "I think someone could have died," I said. She didn't respond, just huffed and stormed off to the next house on her list. That evening, the fire marshal came back. This time, it wasn't just a follow-up on the fire. He was here for an inspection. Turns out, Karen had violated at least 6 regulations. No permits for the valet, no safety clearance for the bounce house, open flames too close to the house, and even a string of lights hanging from a public tree without permission. She argued each point like she was in court, but the fire marshal wrote citation after citation while she fumed. And that was before the insurance adjuster showed up. Karen's SUV wasn't just damaged, it was totaled. Between the shattered windows, soaked electronics, and fire hose run through it, her car was no longer luxury. It was a wreck. She tried to file a claim, but once the adjuster saw the viral video, he told her she wasn't getting a dime. The damage wasn't covered because of negligence. Karen slammed the door, cursing. Another post went up online, this time accusing the insurance company of gender-based sabotage. Of course, it got ratioed into oblivion. The neighborhood was quiet again, the fire still fresh in everyone's minds. But there was something different now. Karen's reign had cracked. People were no longer afraid of her. And for once, it felt like the community was starting to breathe again.